Everyone loves the 2004 cult classic Mean Girls. It's full of memorable quotes and has jokes all throughout. And being set in the jungles of your typical high school, it makes for some pretty morally complex characters. Teenagers can be pretty vicious, and we want to know who ends up being the most evil, and which character comes out as the most noble. I'm Caleb with Wicked Binge, and this is Mean Girls Good to Evil. While the Mean Girls universe has a lot of bad apples, or should we say mean apples, these are the characters in the good section. The gold medal of good goes to Miss Norbury. Miss Norbury was Katie's calculus teacher. Throughout the movie, she sees Katie's potential as a student and encourages her to do well in math and join the mathletes.
Alright, it's all you. Make me look good out there.
She was quick to warn Katie against prioritizing having a boyfriend and being popular over her own academic success. Later in the movie, Katie spreads the rumor that Miss Norbury was selling drugs, causing the police to raid her own home. However, she was still quick to forgive Katie and be a good teacher, which says a lot about her character. She even took Katie's side and encouraged her not to take the entire blame for the burn book since she didn't write all of it. She's a caring and supportive teacher to everyone throughout the entire movie. The Silver Medal of Good goes to Kevin. Kevin earns the silver medal because he's definitely one of the more harmless characters in the film. He hardly caused any trouble, and he was mostly just a studious kid who was part of the mathletes. We also feel we have to give him the silver if only for the fire he spits at the talent show. If you tell us you didn't memorize those lyrics, you're lying. The Bronze Medal of Good goes to Aaron Samuels. Aaron was definitely one of the more sensible characters of the film, although he does date Regina without seeing how terrible she can be. But you really can't hold that against him. He was someone who held Katie to a higher standard and saw her for who she really was. Aaron didn't seem to care much for all the drama that went on between the plastics in the movie. He actually thought it was quite ridiculous, and when Katie began to act like Regina, he was quick to call her out on it. Next up is the principal of North Shore High School, Mr. Duvall. Although Mr. Duvall appeared to be one of the more sensible ones of the movie for realizing when the drama had gone too far and having all the girls report to the gym, it was still wrong of him to put the blame on every single girl for the burn book. He also threatened to cancel the school's upcoming spring fling because of it, but only chose not to because he had already paid for the DJ. It was also blatantly obvious that Regina was the main culprit, and he believed her when she lied right in front of him.
Don't worry, we're gonna find out who did it.
However, he still did a good deed by helping most of the girls make peace with each other, except for when Janice spilled the beans that she and Katie were the ones trying to ruin Regina's life, causing Regina to storm out and get hit by a bus. Next, we have Katie's mom and dad. Katie's parents are in the good section because they appeared to have good intentions and cared about their daughter. However, we do have to take into account the fact that they were a little oblivious to the trouble their daughter was getting into in school. Katie's mom was pretty firm with her and grounded her, however, her dad let her leave the house while she was grounded, making him a bit more careless than the mom. Katie's parents are definitely partially responsible for the trouble their daughter got into because, well, they're her parents. Katie's parents also underestimated how difficult of an adjustment transitioning their daughter from being homeschooled in Africa to being in an American high school would be, and they could have done a better job being more supportive towards her. Nonetheless, they still appeared to be more sensible and caring than some of the other characters in the movie. Next, we have Damien. Damien was definitely not perfect. He definitely has to lose some points for going along with Janice's evil plan to ruin Regina's life. He, Katie, and Janice also skipped class in the beginning of the movie, making Damien a bit of a rebel.
Every year the seniors throw this dance for the underclassmen.
Same thing when he snuck in with the girls when they all met in the gym. However, out of Janice and Damien was definitely the nicer of the duo by far. He welcomed Katie into their friend group, and he also let her borrow his pink shirt. That said, he did go along with the evil plan, though it didn't seem quite as vindictive or personal with him. Just squeezing into the good section, we have the protagonist of the film, Katie Heron. Although Katie was one of the main perpetrators of much of the drama that went on in the movie, we have to cut her some slack because she was new to this school and had just moved from Africa. Katie was trying her best to fit in, make friends, and understand the rules of an American high school. We almost placed Katie in the gray section rather than the good because of all the trouble she caused. She went along with Janice's plan to ruin Regina's life, and then she turned into a clone of Regina and ended up betraying Janice and hurting Regina in the end. Katie did indeed become a mean girl, and we also have to mention that she did contribute to the burn book as well. However, we're ranking Katie in the good section because she wasn't part of the plastics clique for as long as the other girls such as Karen and Gretchen. And at heart, Katie is just a well-intentioned nerd who is good at math. What really solidifies her placement in the good is that she owned up to her wrongs in the end, and admitted to what she did when it was revealed that Miss Norbury was in trouble because of it, which takes a lot of integrity. Now, we'll be taking a look at the characters who are not so good, but not so evil either. This is the gray section. Speaking of the plastics, next up we have Karen. Along with Katie, Karen also gets a slight pass for being one of the more harmless members of the group. Although Karen is considered one of the movie's mean girls, Karen was not as mean as Regina and Gretchen. Yes, she did go along with Regina's demands and followed the peer pressure of the group, however, we definitely consider her more of someone dumb than someone mean. In fact, pretty much the main reason why Karen is even accepted into the plastics is because of her lack of intelligence. We see Regina take advantage of this in the film and push Karen around for that reason. We can't get too mad at Karen because for much of the film she didn't really understand what was going on most of the time. We even find out in the movie that Karen's real passion is for doing the school's weather report. Next up, we have Regina's other sidekick, Gretchen. Unfortunately, we have to rank Gretchen lower than Katie and Karen for the fact that she was notorious for sharing the secrets of others. Gretchen was not as mean as Regina, and just like Karen, she mostly went with her demands and followed the peer pressure of the group because she wanted to be accepted by Regina.
Well, I mean, not just you, like any of us.
Although Gretchen may not have been as shrewd as Regina, she still had the toxic habit of gossiping and spreading other people's private information around. Gretchen was also the second most popular girl in school after Regina because her family was rich and her father was the inventor of a toaster strudel. With all that power given to Gretchen, it became pretty easy for her to abuse it. We also have to mention that Gretchen didn't change very much at the end of the movie, nor did she learn her lesson. Gretchen joined the Asian clique and continued talking about people behind their backs, just in another language. Next up, we have Gretchen's boyfriend in the film, Jason. Jason had a very small role in the movie, so there isn't much to say about him. However, in the appearance we did see of him, he didn't appear to be all that good. Jason was part of the Jocks clique and was one of the guys who made fun of Damien's performance at the Winter Talent Show. Jason also appeared to have very little respect for women. In the beginning of the film, he was seen hitting on Katie by asking her if her muffin is buttered. He was also shown cheating on Gretchen by bringing another girl with him to the party Katie held at her house. The last character in the gray section is Shane Oman. Just like Jason, Shane was another male character shown to be dating one of the plastics who had a very small role in the film. Throughout the movie, Shane was having an affair with Regina while she was dating Aaron Samuels. We definitely have to mark him down on the morality scale for agreeing to be in a relationship with someone who was already dating someone else. That wraps up the gray section. Now we'll be taking a look at the purely evil, or should we say, mean characters of the movie. Starting off the evil section, we have Regina's mother, June George. Mrs. George is definitely responsible for and has to take the blame for much of her daughter's behavior in the film. Although Ms. George on the surface appears to be a nice and harmless lady, she is without a doubt an irresponsible and neglectful parent. Mrs. George refers to herself as not a regular mom, but a cool mom.
There are no rules in this house. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
We see her spoiling Regina and allowing her to behave however she wishes. When Katie visited Regina's home, Mrs. George offered Katie and the other girls some alcohol, implying she was okay with her daughter drinking as a minor. June's desperation to be seen as cool by her children stops her from fulfilling her role as a good mom. The Bronze Medal of Evil goes to Janice Ian. Janice is definitely a complex individual. Although she was not a member of the Plastics, nor was she considered one of the movie's signature mean girls, Janice was definitely one of the cruelest characters in the movie and pretty much a mean girl herself. However, we can easily sympathize for Janice because she does have a tragic backstory. Being one of the school's outcasts and one of the earlier victims of Regina's torment was definitely not easy. Janice used to be friends with Regina until they split up and Regina started spreading rumors that Janice had a lesbian crush on her. However, this does not justify the way Janice behaved in the film. Janice was the one behind the entire revenge plot to ruin Regina's life. Not only was Janice causing unnecessary drama by trying to ruin Regina's life and turn the other Plastics against her, she also got Katie in the middle of the whole dilemma too. Most of the events that happened in the movie would not have occurred if it wasn't for Janice's spitefulness and bitterness towards Regina. While Regina was an evil dictator, yes, Janice contributed just as much to the problem by throwing more flame into the fire. Speaking of Regina, of course, the Silver Medal of Evil has to go to the infamous Regina George. There isn't much to say about Regina George that hasn't already been said. Regina was the leader of the Plastics, the most popular girl in school, and a ruthless dictator over the other female students at North Shore High School. Regina was known to spread vicious rumors and gossip about the other girls and school. This caused endless chaos, drama, and division between the female students. Regina was the main culprit behind the burn book. However, she framed Katie, Gretchen, and Karen as the only ones behind the book so she could come off as innocent and turn all the girls in school against each other. This is someone who is willing to throw her own so-called friends under the bus to get off clean. It was revealed in the movie in countless scenes that the other girls were intimidated by Regina, yet they somehow all craved her validation. When Miss Norbury asked the girls to raise their hands if they ever felt personally victimized by Regina George, all hands went up, including the teachers. Regina was shown to have strict guidelines within the Plastic clique and was controlling over the other girls down to even the most basic things like what they were allowed to wear. We can't forget the iconic "on Wednesdays we wear pink" rule.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
Regina was shown throughout the film to be unfaithful in her relationship with Aaron by cheating on him with Shane. Regina even betrayed Katie's trust by getting back together with Aaron when Katie revealed she had a crush on him. Although Janice caused a lot of trouble by devising a revenge scheme against Regina, Regina was the main perpetrator in the drama between the two. Regina was the one who spread those vicious rumors about Janice being a lesbian, causing the rift in their friendship. Despite all the heinous acts Regina committed, we do have to mention that she did somewhat redeem herself at the end by joining a sports team to let out all her aggression. However, we can't let her off the hook that easily because of all the damage she caused. Finally, the Gold Medal of Evil has to go to Coach Carr. Coach Carr was shown teaching sex education and he didn't appear to be very qualified, as his teaching methods was pretty much exclusively scare tactics. However, this is far from the worst of it. Coach Carr was also revealed to be having sexual relationships with two young female students in the school, which makes him a predator. And given the otherwise lightheartedness of this slice of life movie, that more than deserves the Gold Medal of Evil. But we do have a few medals we want to give out. First up, with the Darwin Medal goes to Karen, for obvious reasons. She might be the most iconic ditzy character in film history. The Pride Medal goes to Regina George, who flaunts her status as Queen Bee throughout the movie. We'll also award her the Greed Medal due to how she needs to be the center of attention and can't share that spotlight or control with anyone else. We're giving the Wrath Medal to Janice because her anger and hatred for Regina was really dialed up to 11. And we have to give the Lust Medal to Coach Carr, who should probably be in prison for his relationship with high school girls. But tell us, do you agree with this ranking? Let us know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon for notifications, and remember to stay wicked.